Well, to our Supersport viewers, it's a warm welcome to South Africa's premier weight for age race over 1600 meters. The Lormeran's Queen's Plate, voted one of the top 5 race meetings on the world stage. It's just an awesome buzz here on course. It's a must-attend race meeting, and hearty congratulations to the sponsors, Lormeran's, for putting such a fantastic show. Joining us in the studio this afternoon will be Neil Andrews and Felix Kutsia. Felix, warm welcome, and we're just having a chat off here. What an awesome buzz on course, and you're just telling me this is one of the big ones that has eluded you, the Queen's Plate.
Yeah, absolutely, Dees. You know, it's just terrific to be here. I mean, this is a very, very special race day. Lormeran's has taken it to the next level and made it absolutely fantastic, and wonderful to be here. I would have preferred to be a bit luckier in the race myself, but I've had 6 thirds and 3 seconds in it. Didn't quite make it. One of the ones that got away.
Well, you've been multiple South African champion jockey, 3-time South African champion jockey. You've won most of the Grade 1 races in South Africa, and of course, abroad, you're a renowned name. I recently spent some time with you in Hong Kong, and you're a household name there, Felix.
These the guys are nice to me there. I was there for 16 years, so and they're all, you know, mad gamblers, so they know all the jockeys.
Neil is the only person on course that can be in the same place at the same time at 2 venues. He was doing the interviews for our race that's just run. That was the Main Chance Farm Paddock Stakes, and he's here to join us. Welcome, Neil.
Welcome to you, Dees, and welcome to Felix. And well, Felix is hiding his light under a bushel. I suppose he's actually the silent witness here today, because if you go to Hong Kong, he will tell you. I'm going to allow him to tell you for folks out there, because he was offshore for some time. But how many victories did silent witness put up there?
Yeah, he had 18, so...
Yeah, 18, just a little bit...
he just carried me, I just sat on his back.
I don't believe that for 1 minute, but he is absolutely synonymous with Silent Witness and many other very useful horses out there. The other thing I want to remind Felix, because as you might expect at my age, I go back having watched many Queen's Plates, and where Felix made his mistake, the one year he should have ridden Mark Anthony and not Royal Chalice. Do you remember that one?
I remember it very, very well.
That must have been a difficult decision on the day, because Mark Anthony, you know, went on to win the JMB Met, which you then rode, didn't you?
Yeah, but you know, at the time, Royal Chalice was this up-and-coming 3-year-old. He was a real hot horse, you know, and I thought so much of him, and I thought with the lightweight that he could pull it off. And I actually hit the front, and then Mark Anthony just flew past me, and had too many guns for me on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was the one that got away, I think, from Felix. But Dees, we're talking, of course, about the tradition of the race, and I know, having spoken to Gaynor Rupert, and also recently to Dr. Jacobs about the Main Chance Farms, it's the one thing about horse racing that is wonderful, that sports people can recognize, because if you're talking FA Cup, you go back 100 years of history. If you're talking cricket history, and racing has exactly that same thing. So I can talk Felix about 25 years ago, and of course we can roll back the years, you know, so if you talk about the attraction of racing and cricket, Michael Holding, you know, is a huge racing enthusiast. He's actually here in South Africa, and he wouldn't have missed the opportunity to come down to Tent Town to watch the Main Chance Paddock Stakes and the Lormeran Queen's Plate. And Fiona Ramsden caught up with the great Michael Holding.
With me is Michael Holding, West Indies legendary fast bowler. Mikey, I know you're very interested in racing.
Very much so. I love it. I've been interested in racing since I was a teenager, and of course I used to own horses in Jamaica. I love racing in England because I spend the summers in England, and I'm good friends with Michael Stout, so I spend a lot of time around his stables.
Fantastic. This is your first Queen's Plate?
Yes, it is. It's my first time ever racing in South Africa. You know, I usually come down here to do commentary. I don't usually get an opportunity to go racing, but I couldn't turn down this opportunity. I got invited by Johan Rupert, so I had to come.
We all love listening to you on television. Have you got a busy couple of months ahead?
Yes, very busy. There's 5 one-day games to come after the T20s are over here in South Africa. Then I head down to Australia for the World Cup. So there's a bit of cricket to come, and then of course I'm back in England in the summer.
And have you got some exciting horses in England?
Yes, I think Michael Stout has some exciting horses this year. I won't be naming any of them, but I think he could have a good year this year.
Fantastic. I hope you have a great day.
It has been good so far. I expect that it will continue to be good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Michael Holding, one of the greats of cricket, and he loves his racing. Know that, and well, we have that amongst other things in common. I wasn't quite so quick with the cricket ball in hand. But Dees, we're going to talk to Felix about something quite interesting now. Clearly, neither you or I have ever ridden a racehorse, and not very fast either. But the gentleman sitting next to us can perhaps tell, as a matter of interest to our Supersport viewers, what it's like to ride a horse. So why don't you ask him?
Yeah, Felix, we got a nice slide where we've got a horse that's galloping in the home straight, and we just like you to talk us through it, let our viewers know what's going through a jockey's mind, so we'll go to that footage.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've done this actually. This is our co-presenter, Vicky, on the grey over here, and obviously they're not going at lightning pace, they're not going at race course pace, but what sort of has to go through your mind, bearing in mind that this footage is of two horses in a race? I mean, at times in a Vodacom Durban July, for example, you might have as many as 19 other horses that you have to deal with.
Yes, you know, Neil, at this stage, look, it depends on how fast they've been going around the turn. You're probably coming up to about the 400-meter mark here, you know, and particularly at Kenilworth, you want to just extend up the straight. You can't just go for your horse straight away when you turn for home. And as these two horses are doing now, they're starting to pick up, and you've got to think about hitting the line strong with a lot of horse underneath you. You can't come off that false rail and just go for your horse, because something's going to flash up and catch you.
The question I want to ask you today, you can see the camera going all over the place. It is a magnificent day here in Cape Town, but the one thing that has happened in the last 3-4 hours is the wind has picked up considerably. And when I spoke to Justin Snaith earlier on, he said that a lot of his horses have been battered by the wind and the jockeys have tough decisions. So when you're riding in the wind, as you frequently do here in Cape Town, how much of a factor or a changing of tactic does that require?
Oh, very much so. You know, it's like cycling, Neil. You want to get as much of a wind break as you can for as much as the race. And you know, when you turn into the straight, you want to be coming on usually on the outside of horses, because that wind comes at you at an angle. So to come and challenge on the outside would help you, you know? Yeah.
So it's almost like, as you say, from a cycling point of view, you know, you see the peloton in the Tour de France, so you're getting wind protection, I suppose.
Absolutely. You want to shelter yourself from the wind, because when you get out, you do feel it, and it makes a difference.
Well, I'll tell you, someone who never had to shelter too much from the wind was Chester Williams, because he was just lightning fast, whether he had a Western Province or a Springbok jersey on. The great Chester Williams is here. He's in 10 Town as well, and he spoke to Fiona.
With me is Chester Williams, ex-Springbok rugby player. Chester, not your first Queen's Plate?
No, it's obviously my fourth one now, and we always is one of the bucket list events that we really love to come and enjoy ourselves here. The Le Mans Queen's Plate, and horse racing is obviously we come visit it twice a year, and this is the one of the special ones.
And it just seems to get bigger and better every year.
Yes, we can look around here. I mean, it's every year just get bigger and bigger, and the people that come here, and there's just an amazing couple of people that comes here, having great fun with them and enjoy ourselves here.
Fantastic. You brought a nice bunch of friends with you today.
Yes, I did, and my wife is with me, and a few friends. Lisa is also one with them. But you know, there's a lot of other friends coming around, and rugby for sports personalities coming around, and which is great, you know. And this is where where we meet every year and talk about the future of sport and rugby and South Africa.
Fantastic. Enjoy your day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, there it is, Chester Williams here, and Dees and Felix will attest to the fact, Felix, that everybody's here. And this is what the Lormeron Queen's Plate has done now. It's become, apart from us racing folk who love our horse racing, it's become a social event, hasn't it?
Well, absolutely, that's it, a social event. It's the who's who is here, Neil, and it's just a wonderful day. You know, there's an air of sophistication about it, and it's comfortable to be everywhere, and the horses come out and just lift up your spirits every race, you know. It's a wonderful day, and hats off to Lormeron for creating what they have.
Well, it attracts everybody, Dees. Even the elite from KwaZulu-Natal, such as yourself, have come down to join us. But I can't believe this is your first Lormeron Queen's Plate, so we're going to have to quickly put that behind us. You're going to have to come here regularly.
Oh, no. This is a race meeting that I would have to tell all the viewers watching Supersport that it is a must social event and in the South African racing calendar. Forget about the Western Cape, because I've just been around to 10 Town. I've been upstairs to the rooms. I've been in front of the grandstand. The atmosphere is awesome. This theme, this blue and white theme that they've created, it's just, you know, it's Cortonia in Cape Town. You know, speaking to Jonathan Snaith, who discussed this idea with Mrs. Rupert when they, you know, started off this a few years back, and he just said, there's no blue and white in Cape Town during this time of the year. All the shops are sold out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can believe that. Somebody, of course, who knows a little bit about fashion, somebody was on the plane with me yesterday. I didn't recognize, or she didn't recognize me, but I certainly recognized her. We're talking about the face of Revlon Benang, and she is in town, and that means that the social edifice of the Lormeron Queen's Plate is very much in to do. Benang is with Fiona.
With me is Benang, the face of Revlon. Is this your first Queen's Plate?
It is indeed, so I'm very, very excited. I've never been here, so I don't know what to expect. You know, lots of fashion, but it's a great day out at the race. I'm really excited to be here.
You look fantastic. You're into quite a few other things apart from Revlon, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I do quite a lot. I have a 9 to 12 show every single morning on Metro FM. I'm a top billing presenter. I do a lot of work with Ciroc. I have a lingerie line at Woolworths. I'm an MC. I'm a model. You know, so I try to find the time to do a lot of things.
Well, that's a lot of things. I'm surprised you find time to be at the Queen's Plate. Anyway, It's a fantastic event, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, as I say, the fashion element is wonderful here, and you would have picked up on that and seen that if we take our cameras around, as we have been, not only in Tent Town, but in front of the grandstand here in the parade ring, and you can see that the Lormeron Queen's Plate has transcended a horse race. Make no mistake, it is still the horse race. It's a Grade 1, it's the top milers in the country, and of course we'll get to legislate with Felix in a moment. But Dees, if you have a look here, and you mentioned the blue and white theme, of course, and Gaynor was saying to me earlier on, she was really pleased to see that so many people now come in this blue and white theme. And of course we have this twinning with Glorious Goodwood, and we've seen already the crowning of the best dressed, which is again a sharing process, because we've actually been looking after the best dress from Glorious Goodwood here in South Africa.
Yes, and her name is Charlie Emily Britton. She was the best dressed Glorious Goodwood, and she won a prize to attend the Lormeron's Queen's Plate. But you know, it's not an exaggeration to the viewers out there. I would say around 90% plus of the people that attend the race meeting are in blue and white. So it's really caught on, and you know, that's the colors of Drakenstein start, of course, the sponsors.
Hence the blue and white.
Hence
yes.
the blue and white. That's where it's come from, and you know, they've got a run in the race. But Felix, you know, from when you rode the Queen's Plate to today, I know that's a number of years back, but you know, we need sponsorship like this to grow racing in South Africa, don't we?
Oh, absolutely, Dees, you know, and I mean, Lormeron's has just turned this race around and really been wonderful for racing.
Felix, if I can ask you, how good is this horse Legislate? Because for me, as a race goer, we watched him win the Vodacom Durban July as a 3-year-old, but to me, he's taken huge steps forward as a 4-year-old. He's bigger, he's stronger. The last performance, he almost bossed his field to say, listen, look how good I am, and you guys are just not as good as me, and he's absolutely thumped them. Do you think he'll do so again today?
Oh, absolutely, Neil. You know, while you guys were talking, I was turning around, watching him going around the parade ring. I actually got goosebumps. You know, he's walking around with such authority and calm and confidence. I mean, he's just beautiful to look at. Did you see him earlier out there as he walked onto the track? He's looking a picture, and you know what, there's still a Met to come, and Justin has got him, look at that composure, you know, Justin has got him in such fantastic condition, and you know he's still going to be cherry ripe for the Met too.
Well, you mentioned cycling earlier on, and if we're using the analogy again of horse racing with other sports on Supersport, I mean, he is the Tiger Woods or the Rory McIlroy, as it were, of his generation. Look at him go down. This is the horse, this is the flesh and blood that we race with. I mean, he's just a magnificent specimen. I mean,
absolutely.
Look at him.
That. So
ears
calm.
pricked.
Yeah, he's gliding.
You know, he's the Lionel Messi or the Cristiano Ronaldo of football. We have Legislate, and that's why we hope that today he produces his best. And if he does, I've got to be honest, Dees, I don't think anything will beat him.
Yeah, he's the reigning horse of the year. He's the champion 3-year-old of last season. He started off his campaign exceptionally well, where, you know, Felix mentioned the way he won last time out in the Green Point Stakes. He really pulverized the opposition, stamping his authority, showing that he's taken his 3-year-old form into this season. But you know what, this race may lack in numbers, it certainly doesn't lack in quality. While Legislate may be the restrictive price favorite at around 5 to 10. You know, he's certainly not going to have things his own way. He's still got a race on his hands. He's got horses that have won triple crowns in the race. A horse called Louis the King, who's come well, you know, winning the Summer Cup last time out. Futura has had a bit of an interrupted prep. Let's see how he goes today, but you can't fault his form. Talina, number 4, you know, now that he's been gelded after a disappointing last run, the word is that he's working well. And then a horse like King Volt at the bottom, the 3-year-old, you know, he ran a cracking good race behind his stable companion in the Guinea. So, you know, whilst we wax lyrical about Legislate, you know, let's also pay compliments to the others in the race, because they've certainly earned their place in this field.
Felix, I want to talk to you a little bit about your knowledge of the different generations in horse racing, because maybe some Supersport viewers aren't aware that, of course, horses are 3-year-olds. Well, they start as 2-year-olds, they move to 3-year-olds, then they become 4-year-olds. And I mentioned that last year, as a 3-year-old, Legislate won the Vodacom Durban July. He's now a 4-year-old. But here, of course, we're represented by the 3-year-old crop in the form of King Volt. He's the only 3-year-old running, but what is interesting is that the previous race in the fillies equivalent, the 3-year-old filly, Inara, actually upstaged her older 4-year-old filly. So I don't think we'll necessarily see it here, but this horse, King Volt, number 9, represents the younger protagonists.
Yes, he's run a very good race in the Guineas, and I basically think that, you know, after the race, Joe's going to know what he's got on his hands with Active War. It's going to give a very good line there, and I don't see him troubling, you know, the top horse.
Yeah, but interesting that the fillies, because that was a surprise to many that Inara's popped up and beaten. I know you were a big fan of Jetta Glow, who probably wasn't at her best today.
Yeah, I don't think she was at her best. I watched that a replay. You know, things didn't map out for her from draw 1. She had too much ground to make up. But you know, I just want to come back to the King Volt. You know, I like the way Joey you know, mentions this horse on his website. He says he's had a superb prep. Carl's exceptionally happy with his work on Thursday morning, and I'm expecting a big run. Short and sweet, Neil.
Okay, well, we'll see. But I think in the Queen's Plate, the Lormeron Queen's Plate, I think all the trainers expect a big run. But I want to come back to the man of the moment, and I'm talking about Legislate, the horse. He's a wonderful specimen. We've seen that. Felix has confirmed that for him, his well-being today. He's a son of Dynasty. But let's catch up with his trainer, Justin Snaith, who has already had multiple winners today. It's a nervous day for Justin Snaith, looking after the champion. This is what he had to say about the favourite, Legislate.
Justin, I think without in any way detracting from the J&B Met, this is a race to savour. It's just high quality. It might be a small field, but we've got the horse of the year taking on a horse that won the Triple Crown, taking on his stable companions. The most important question is, how is the horse of the year Legislate?
Well, you know, the race is exactly what Queen's Plate's about. Quality, not quantity. It is big pressure, but every time I look at the horse, he makes my pressure a lot less. It makes it a lot easier. I look at him and he's certainly not pressurized. So I take a lot back from him in that we just, you know, in cruise control and making sure that nothing goes wrong. That's all we've done. He has the highest of security that you can imagine to ensure that nothing funny gets done with him, and you know, we're just making sure that no mistakes are made, and hoping, you know, I just really hope that he rocks up at the race course in his best possible condition and just shows how good he is. Everybody hopes that with a champion, and that's all. I don't mind getting beat. If he's at his best and he gets beat, so be it. That's life and that's racing. But as I said, I just hope he comes here 100% ready, and you're going to see a serious racehorse.
All he has to do is reproduce his performance in the Greenpoint Stakes. I mean, he broke the course record. What more can you ask for?
Exactly, and in my mind, he's just as good as he was then. He actually looks better than he did in the Greenpoint Stakes. So obviously, it's his first run in a long time, and a lot of horses come back in their first runs after the Durban July, and you know, just need a run. And I do think he might have needed a little bit, but he's just that good. So as I said, just fingers crossed for a great day, and you know, look forward to actually enjoying it and hoping things go our way.
A couple of moments, I'm going to talk about what Lormerons have done with regards to the marketing of this race, not only as a sports event but as a social event, and we've seen on social media and the fashion element. But from a racing perspective, I can't help but ask Felix this question, that it's not a big field, so as a jockey, the pace of the race must be quite interesting. So if we can analyze it using, for example, athletics, with a sprint, you're obviously going to go flat out.
Yeah.
But in a distance race as a runner, you're going to have to pace yourself. Now, I would imagine that as a jockey and a horse, you have to do the same over a mile like this.
Well, exactly, and particularly at Kenilworth, Neil. But you know, people are all saying, oh, it's a one-horse race. But for me, the other fascinating part about it is that it's almost like a poker game out there, because all these jockeys are sitting there saying, I'm not going to the front, I'm not going to the front, I'm not going to the front. Somebody's got to go. And I don't know, someone might finish up there by default.
Sure.
Somebody might have a card up their sleeve and say, I'm going to try and pinch it.
Yeah.
Look, the wind seems to have died down a bit. No, it hasn't. There,
Well, it's Cape Town, that's no win. You should know. But Felix brings up a very good point here. And of course, we've recently seen Piers Stratham ride his 5,000th winner. So if you're looking for someone who's going to be playing poker and sussing out his opposition, and in fact, when he had a winner earlier on, I said to him, I know you're going to be trying to lower Legislate's colours, and well, Pierre is a master in trying to do that. So there'll be a lot of, as Felix says, cat and mouse play out there.
No, you know, he showed his brilliance when he won the Sensui Summer Cup recently, you know, just the way he judged pace and the way he got the horse to kick at the right moment and collar his stable companion, Kalua Castle. But, you know, the more I look at this race and the more we watch horses behind the starting gates there, I think, you know, I'm just expecting Horse of the Year, Champion Trainer of the Year, and I'm expecting a champion performance, Neil.
Well, let's get back to Lormerans. We want to thank Lormerans for coming on board, and this race has just got better and better from a marketing perspective and putting racing back where it should be, amongst the top races, the top events, the top in the social calendar here in January in Cape Town. And I know Clyde Basil and his marketing team have been working very hard to continue that trend of improvement. Here's what Clyde had to say to Fiona.
With me is Clyde Basil, marketing sales. Tell us how the day is going so far.
Oh, beautifully. I think this was a sellout a couple of weeks ago. General public was the only ticket left, and so well done to Gaynor Rupert and her team on an exceptionally good day. It takes quite a lot of work to put this together, I must tell you, and to all of the people involved 6-7 months ago to make sure that the bits and pieces get together and make sense. It's all worked out beautifully, and we are most grateful. Sponsorship is so important to the sport of horse racing, and an event like this also creates or stimulates interest in the horse, the hero, for which we all here. So it's wonderful. Thank you, Fiona.
Yeah, lots of good-looking human beings here, I have to say, and they're going to hopefully witness one of the impressive performances. We're going to cross to our commentator to call them in for the Lormeron Queen's Plate of 2015 to see if Legislate can continue on his championship ways.
In a straight line, ready to go at the 1600, all clear. Racing in the Lormeron Queen's Plate, and Futura was just a little bit slow to go. Paterfamilias dropped back shortly after the start. The 3-year-old King Vault began the quickest. Ashton Park is pushing past him on the outside. Then comes Talina, who's moving up on the outside of Legislate, who's racing on the heels of the early speed in those blue colours, and he's settling to race about 3 lengths off the leader. At his girth, we find Louis the King. Then it's Gold Onyx, Jet Explorer. Paterfamilia's back, one from last, and Futura is racing at the end of a compact field. I'd say 9-10 lengths cover them with 1,000 metres left to go. Ashton Park has found the lead. Talina has gone up to race at his girth in second. And neck away on the inside comes the 3-year-old King Vault, white sleeves and cap. Louis the King and Legislate. Those two are side by side, and they're going to corner 4 lengths off the leader. Jet Explorer, Gold Onyx, then comes Futura, and Paterfamilias is last to swing in the Lormeron Queen's Plate with 600 metres left to go. They're all coming up the outside. Ashton Park leads them into the the home straight as they flatten for the run to the judge. Talina is in second. Look towards the inside. The sponsors blew off Legislate. He's still under a tight hold and he's starting to move into contention. King Vault is between runners. Louis the King is still 2 lengths off the leader. Futura's getting going along the inside. Stand side, it's Ashton Park. Legislate has come under a ride. Futura gets driven into the lead with 100 metres left to go. Ashton Park, Louis the King over the top. He's wearing down Futura, drawing to the judge. Futura beats Louis the King. Gold Onyx, Jet Explorer, Talina, Ashton Park, King Vault. Then came Legislate and Paterfamilias. Legislate had come under a ride. At the business end of affairs, Ashton Park had led them for most of the journey, and Futura is running an absolute cracker, and Louis the King got a split on the outside. He's trying to wear down Futura, but he kicked away at the right time, and Futura is going to win the Lormerock Queen's Plate and beat Louis the King into second. Gold Onyx third. Jet Explorer will run into fourth. Next was Talina, followed by Ashton Park, the long-time leader. Then came King Vault, Paterfamilias, and Legislate will cross the line last in the Lormerock Queen's Plate. Ashton Park in front as we have another look at it. He's trying to keep going. Legislate had come under a ride, very one-paced. He's not quickening. In fact, he's going out the back door as Futura starts to pounce. He kicks for home and he starts to stretch away. Louis the King flies up on the outside. Gold Onyx, Jet Explorer, then came Talina. Here's Legislate in those blue silks. You can see he's going up and down, but the focus now is on the winner, and that is Futura from the stable of Brett Crawford, Bernard Fayd'Herbe, and he does the business for John Freeman, Ian Longmore, and Jack Mitchell, and he'll claim the honours in the 2015 renewal of the Lormerock Queen's Plate.
A fascinating result, really, because it's not going to affect Dynasty, because he's the same sire as Legislate, and it's not going to affect Jack Mitchell because he owns Futura as he does Legislate. But punters will be scratching their head. One has to say, without taking anything away from Futura, for Legislate to run last, something terribly amiss must have gone. That's not his form. But let's not take anything away from this fella, because he too is a son of Dynasty, and he is anything but a bad horse in his own right. Great ride from Bernard Fayd'Herbe, a triumph for Brett Crawford.
You know, this is an amazing game, Neil. You know, it's a blessing in disguise that this horse was actually scratched in the Diadem Stakes, because he was carded to race. Brett scratched him. I think the reason was for coughing. And it's an amazing game that this horse has turned out, and he's turned out trumps here. You know, you need a lot of luck to go your way. You know, you can do all the preparations back home, and you need things to go for you on the day. And yeah, Brett will take that. You know, whilst he's missed out a prep run into this race, he was just spot on today, and a brilliant turn of foot, Neil.
Yeah, proof that, of course, we do not race on the paper of the computer form or the newspapers. We race on the turf, and things can go horribly awry. And they have for the favourite Legislate, who ran last in the Queen's Plate. So something clearly amiss there. But taking nothing away from Bernard Fayd'Herbe, he had the worst of the draw. He's come through to win on the Son of Dynasty out of the Badger's Driftmare, Scribbling the Cat. He was bred by Guy Murdoch. He only cost 500,000, which is looking like a real cheap buy at the moment. He's added the Queen's Plate to many victories prior. So Futura wins for Bernard Fayd'Herbe and Brett Crawford. The owners, Mrs. John Freeman, Ian Longmore, and Jack Mitchell. Second goes to Louis the King. A great prep run for the JMB Met, it has to be said. And that is a wrap from us here, where Futura has written the headlines that will be in the Sunday newspapers tomorrow, and it'll be back to the drawing board for Legislate fans for sure. My thanks to Dees Donut, my thanks to Felix Cousy. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back with Supersport after this.
We always said that we were
was Bernard Fayd'Herbe. Second to number 2, Louis the King. Third to number 7, Gold Onyx. And fourth to number 5, Jet Explorer. 3, 2, 7, 5. Winners stop the clock. 1 minute, 41.59 seconds.
Well, we've seen it all here today. Lormeron Queen's Plate, a surprise in many respects, but on the other side of the coin, perhaps not a surprise, because Futura has proven himself time and time again as a top quality individual. Bernard Fayd'Herbe will be absolutely delighted. Before we get on to the presentation, if I can ask Larry Weinstein to come to the fore, please, and officially welcome you on behalf of the presentation team. Larry, great pleasure to have you here, and I know you're going to introduce Rion to us, but well done from your perspective on, once again, a fabulous race day. And I thought, like me, you must be enthused to see all the blue and white here and the excitement here at the Lormeron Queen's Plate.
There's no doubt, Neil, but firstly, it's a big thanks to Gaynor Rupert and her team, and to all the people that come out here on a regular basis, and to all of you who support racing. I want to thank you on behalf of all the owners, because without you, racing can't go on. So please support us. We're only halfway through the Summer of Champions. But on behalf of the RA board, I'd like to thank all the visiting owners and trainers, and just thank Kenilworth Racing for the way that they've put this event on behind the scenes, and obviously Pumalela, who helps them to do it. And of course, I will introduce him to Rion. But thank you people for coming here and supporting our support, because without you, we'll be lost. all I can say is, if this is the beginning of this year, what racing is going to be like, what a fantastic year we look forward to, and we look forward to seeing you all here again. I'd now like to introduce you to Rian du Plessis, the CEO of Phumelela.
Thanks, Larry, and good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, in particular Gaynor and Lomara, the Rupert family. Thank you very much for your sponsorship. You truly add class to the sport of horse racing, and I've taken a walk through your style village. It really looks super. Well done. And thank you very, very much for your sponsorship. It's valued, and we hope that you will continue in due course. Thank you.
Thank you, Rian. Thank you, Larry. And yes, please welcome up to the stage and give her a round of applause our sponsored representative, of course, of the Lormaran Queen's Plate, Mrs. Gaynor Rupert. Give her a round of applause. Great to have her here. And we are blessed with many ladies of quality, because this is, of course, the Queen's Plate, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome and to ask her to say a few words on behalf of the Queen and the Queen's Plate, none other than the High Commissioner, Judith McGregor. So let's give her a nice Kenilworth round of applause. Welcome to the microphone. High Commissioner, lovely to see you here again. I'm going to hand the microphone to you, and great to have you here.
Thank you. In fact, it's my first time here, actually, at Kenilworth today. But thank you to Johan and Gaynor Rupert for the hospitality and for an extraordinary day. My very first horse race ever. I hadn't realized it was going to be such a thrilling experience. All I can say is I'm very grateful to Queen Victoria in 1861 for establishing the Queen's Plate as obviously a very hot ticket, a very extraordinary competitive race. I'm so sorry to have missed the competition for the best dressed and the best hat of the event, which I think must have been even more competitive. But what can one say? It's obviously an extremely great start to the season. I wish Kenilworth, the oldest course in the country, all success going forward, spectacular horsemanship, wonderfully thrilling race. All of you have contributed towards that. I hope very much that this will attract a big crowd to Kenilworth. I'm delighted that Glorious Goodwood was also here today, and long may that collaboration continue. But it's my great pleasure now, I think, to congratulate the winners and to pass across the trophies.
Lovely. Judith, thank you so much, and I'm sure it won't be your last Queen's Plate, and at the very least, we'll get Lord March to get you over to the Glorious Goodwood so we can twin you over there, I think. Right, we have all these awards. As far as the best hat competition, I think Glenn won that, didn't he? Glenn hat? No? Must have won the best hat award. But let's get from one jockey to another and bring Bernard in here. Give Bernard a round of applause. Brilliant stuff. In many respects, this race panned out nicely for you because everybody was all over Legislate, and I suppose you could go and do your own thing, so the pressure was kind of off you. There'd been rumours that he hadn't had the best preparation. Well, that's been put to bed, so take us through the race.
That was a lovely race. Jumped out and I sort of dropped him in the back, and I was always watching Legislate, and he was about 3 horses in front of me on the rail, travelling quite hard. Richard was battling a little bit with him, and I was like slowly thinking to myself, geez, maybe I'll be able to catch him today. And came into the straight, and then my race just worked out perfectly. I managed to get a split behind him. I followed him right through to about the 400, and I was actually expecting him to quicken up, and he didn't quicken up, and I actually had to just switch in, and yeah, what a great win. He was just such a fantastic horse to ride.
He's always been a horse with a big reputation, and he's now starting to fulfill that. And of course, the JMB Met now, where you will renew rivals, certainly with the second horse, who's run a cracking race as well. I'm talking about Louis the King, and Legislate, who clearly wasn't at his best today.
Yeah, well, I don't know what their problems were, but I think I was on a very good horse today, and he deserves all the credit. It's just a fantastic win. Well done to Brett. Obviously, the horse doesn't take as much work as we think. And yeah, just lovely to be here on this wonderful day and to win a fantastic race like this. Thank you very much.
Before you go, last question, just on a personal note. You are riding at the top of your tree at the moment, matey. Whatever you swing your leg over is being in the winner's enclosure. So I don't know what you're taking, but keep taking it, matey, because the confidence is up there. And who's going to stop you? I'll tell you what it must be. It must be the Lormaran Brut Classique, which you're going to get a bottle of.
Yeah, I think it was that champagne I had last night, probably.
Wonderful. There is the High Commissioner, Judith McGregor, with the trophy for the winning rider of the Lormaran Queen's Plate for 2015, the rider of Futura, Bernard Fayd'Herbe. Well done, Bernie. We're going to make a movie one day of the whole weekend of Bernard's rides and call it Weekend at Bernie's. And hopefully he'll be alive in it. Let's step Brett Crawford through. Looking dashing, I have to say, in your blue and white. So Gaynor will be pleased that you have responded with the call to blue and white. But let's get on to this horse. Wow, that was impressive.
Yeah, Neil, it was, you know, very impressive. I mean, we were always worried that there wasn't going to be speed on, but I just said to Bernard, you know, you ride your own race, no instructions. And it worked for him. I mean, you know, he picked him off. He's always been a class horse. He's only finding his own now. And to win the Queen's Plate, in my opinion, you know, I've been runner-up the last 2 years. So I'm very pleased to be standing here today. And a big thanks to Mrs. Rupert for the sponsorship.
It is a fantastic sponsorship, and that's what makes it a big race to win, because it just gets better and better. And nice to see huge crowds out here today.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they've done a fantastic job marketing this race. It's a special race. It's one of the races every trainer dreams about winning. And I've just got to say a big thanks to Jack, to Nancy, to Helga, Jerome, John Freeman, and of course my good mate Ian Longmore, who've supported me to the hilt, and I'm just glad to repay them. And a big thanks to my family and to my staff, Jevon, Barry and everyone there. They've all put long hard hours in over Christmas and New Year, and it's just great to be here to reap the reward.
Probably a logical question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Onward and upward to the JMB Met?
Yeah, look, you know, he's a horse that, to me, it's only his second start of the season. He's a lightly raced horse, and really looking forward to 3 weeks' time.
Wonderful. We have the trophy for you from the High Commissioner, Judith McGregor, and for Brett Crawford, the winning trainer of the winner of the Lormorans Queen's Plate for 2015, Futura. Give him a round of applause. Right, well, let's get the owners in, shall we? I see that Ian is close here. John and Jack, get them all in, chomping at the bit to jump in. I strongly suspect that Jack might have thought he'd be here, but he had 2 strings to his bow, thankfully. But Ian, first of all, this is really no surprise, I'm sure, for you 3 guys, because you've always rated this horse, and he's getting better and better, and with the more racing, he's now starting to produce, I'm sure, what you knew he was capable of.
I must say, Neil, today was a bit of a surprise for us, but...
is that because of the preparation?
I think it's because the pressure's off us, you know, and I mean, it's so nice just to sit and relax and not have everyone, you know, I can only feel for the Ruperts, you know, in terms of running, the horse running so bad today, but well done to them, and yeah.
But we're all seasoned professionals, and if I can lean across before I come to Jack and ask John this, I mean, this is racing. I was saying on Supersport, the live crossing now, it's not pushing buttons. We don't race on paper, and I'm sure something's gone wrong with Legislate. He's much better than that, but this is racing. We've all had the ups and downs. Some down, today you up.
I was always worried about tactics as far as Legislate was drawn to, that they might box him in and slow the pace down, and pace caught Futura in the Durban July, as you know. But well done. Let's not take away from what Brett Crawford did, and my pals Ian and Jack, my partners, who are unbelievably good racing people, and Brett Crawford and his team. Bernard Fayd'Herbe riding, as you said, at the top of his game. What can I say? Brilliant.
As far as performance is concerned, the only thing that's out-trumped Futura is this blue jacket you've got, John. I don't know where you got it. It's magnificent.
Exactly. Sourced especially for Gaynor. Thank you.
Well, I hope she appreciates it. But let's go with Jack, who, in his own right, I suppose in this very race, you've got the ups and downs of racing, which is, I guess, why we race.
Yeah, I'm terribly sorry for Gaynor. I wanted this to be her day. I really did, in terms of winning her race. And she did win got a consolation prize, of course, with the Paddock Stakes, which is fantastic, but that's racing.
Yes.
And the one other thing I'd like to say is, you know, we've been involved in having Jackson, and he's run second in this race twice in the last 2 years. Gee, it's hard going to win it, I tell you. So, and well done to Brett, and we got there in the end.
Absolutely, you did, and no one can begrudge you. Ian, Jack, John, give them a huge round of applause. Your owners of Futura, who now marches on to the JMB Met. Gaynor is going to hand you the trophy for the Lormoran Queen's Plate to the owners. Well, as you say, Gaynor has the disappointment, perhaps, of a disappointing run from Legislate, but it's amazing how racing works, because the previous race, she won the main chance Paddock Stakes with a 3-year-old filly. So the ups and downs and the fickle nature, perhaps, of horse racing. But let me get a photograph. Gaynor, turn around so we can get a nice photograph of you in with the High Commissioner as well. There we go. The Lormoran Queen's Plate Trophy for 2015. And we have one more award, which is an important award. Brett, if I can just confirm, our groom is Sibonkike?
Sipesonke.
I nearly said it like that, but I'm going to give him a handshake anyway. Well done, a tremendous job looking after. And we have, I think that the High Commissioner has your award. So there we go. Please give him a huge round of applause. He's got a lovely horse to look after, Futura. And you know that January is going to be a big month because you've just started. We've got J&B Met still to come. Looking very resplendent. Yes, Brett.
I actually forgot to congratulate the breeder. So to Guy Murdoch and his team for breeding this wonderful horse. Very well done.
And I must say, from Guy Murdoch's point of view, I thought he was bought for 500,000, which is looking like a very clever buy, if I may say so, John Freeman now.
Well, 500,000 at the time was quite a buy because he was a first foal out of a Badger's Drift mare, which I love because Badger's Drift and the Costas and that whole team and, you know.
It's still looking clever, though, now.
Fantastic. Well, we're always clever, you know.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much from the presentation team. My extra special thanks to Gaynor Rupert from Drakenstein Stud and, of course, the sponsor, Lormeron Queen's Plate, and for our Queen's representative here, the High Commissioner, Judith McGregor. That wraps up the Futura Winners Enclosure Report for the 2015 Lormeron Queen's Plate.